On February 1st, 1996, a Santa Fe train ran away down the grade at Cajon Pass before derailing, killing 2 people and injuring 1. And unfortunately, just 13 days after the 1996 Cajon Pass runaway, another runaway will occur, this time at St. Paul, Minnesota. Just what happened? Was it the same reason why the Santa Fe ran away down the grade at Cajon in 1996? Or was it something else? Let's dive into the story of the 1996 St. Paul Runaway. On the night of February 14, 1996, at St. Paul, Minnesota at Pig's Eye Yard, 11 crew members were having lunch at the yard office, including conductor Richard Vitek. In the yard, 2 trains were sitting idle. One of them with just 2 engines, Zooline GP9-2408 and Zoo GP15C 4102. Right next to the engines was a yard job with 2 SC40-2s, CP5725 and Lease EMDX 6503. The yard job contacted the yardmaster to ask for headroom to build their consist. The yardmaster agreed and gave them the switch towards the main and permission to reverse in and out of the yard to build the train. This was a moment the seeds of disaster were planted. Meanwhile, up ahead, BNSF BO1114414 or 8572 East was stopped at a signal just 5 miles from Pig's Eye Yard to wait for the yard job to complete its switching duties. The train consists of 2 LMX B39-8s, 8572 and 8589. The train was a manifest with 89 cars. As the train came to a stop, the brakes were working fine. Well, at least for now. Soon after, the train was given an okay to proceed eastbound towards Pig's Eye Yard, on its way towards Galesburg, Illinois. The engineer initiates the dynamic brakes as the train was slowly but surely descending down the hill. He then applies an application on the air brakes. But as the train was continuing to descend though, he noticed that something was off. He noticed that the train was slowly but surely picking up speed, so he applied more brakes on the train, but the train was still accelerating. Realizing now how dire the situation is, he immediately applied the emergency brakes, but nothing happened. The crew on that BNSF train were now in crisis mode. Another runaway train was now in motion. Immediately, the crew contacted the dispatcher about the train now becoming a runaway, and the dispatcher tried to set the switch back onto the main from the yard. But the problem was the switch was being set by timer. All that he can do was just hold traffic and put every signal around that area to red. Back at Pixar Yard, Richard Vitek, just stepped out of the yard office, was about to climb onto CP-5725 when he spotted a headlight getting closer and closer. Vitek and his engineer realized that it was on a direct collision course with the two Suline engines. Knowing that they would not make it out of the way, they both hit the deck, both on the ground and the cab of CP-5725. The BNSF crew did the same, and then
We had a runaway train come right through our assembly line. We got everything out of control. Half the buildings got fired. We had many people hurt.
the scene was devastating. The BNSF train collided head-on with the two Suline engines at 80 kilometers an hour, or 50 miles an hour. The cars from the BNSF train were separated from the consets and were tossed around like toys, spreading the cars all over the yard, destroying half of the building, piling up and burying multiple cars in the yard, derailing the CP and the EMDX engines and its 3 cars, and turning the scene into a horrifying, awful mess. Suline 2408 was completely obliterated, but parts of his cab were intact. The car body of 4102 was sheared off, with his cab mostly intact. CP-5725 and EMDX 6503 also suffered some damage. The LMX B-39s were buried among the wreckage. Half of A572's car body was sheared off from the impact. Thankfully, everyone survived, but all 11 crew members were injured, with some being trapped among the wreckage, including Richard Vitek. The BNSF crew were also injured. Thankfully, to those who were buried were soon rescued hours later. Captain Don Eddy of the St. Paul Fire Department said that it looked like a giant tornado just hit the yard. So why did the BNSF train run away? An investigation was soon launched after the accident, and it turns out that something happened to the brakes on the BNSF train. While many say another blockage in the air hose occurred on the train, it was discovered that the 5th car in the consist had its brakes blocked due to ice buildup. And this was not the first time an ice buildup occurred on the train's brakes, but that's something saved for another day. Conductor Vitek soon resigned after the accident and never worked for the railroad ever again. In the end, Su-2408 and 4102 were deemed a total loss and scrapped, along with EMDX 6503. CP-5725 and the LMX B-39s were all repaired and returned to service. All 3 locomotives still continue to operate today. It's been 28 years since the St. Paul Runaway occurred. But speaking of runaways, this wouldn't be the last time that February of 1996 saw a runaway in sight, as one more train ran away at Tennessee Pass just 7 days later. But that's a story also saved for another day.